Oh, good. I love your shirt.
Oh, hello. Welcome. I'm hearing a little bit of an echo. We'll have that clear in a moment. Welcome to Cupcakes and Conversation. Hold on one second. I'm hearing a little bit. Raheem, I hear a little bit of the echo. My wonderful assistant manager. Let him come in and fix that up a little bit before I get started. I hope you guys are doing great today.
Yes.
Raheem, are we good to go? Still hear echo here. Okay. So here we are, guys, once again with another Cupcake and Coffee conversation. I am so excited to be here. I'm so excited to see all of your beautiful faces, and even more so than that, I am so excited about our beautiful faces, and even more so than I am still hearing myself. You guys hear it as well? I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna let me here. Can't interrupt yourself, okay? All right. Okay. Is that better? Can you guys, are we good to go with that? Yes. Okay. Woohoo! All right, guys. So we have an amazing, outstanding show today. So of course, we have to start with Cupcakes and Coffee. And my mug for today is I love long romantic walks down the aisle of Target. Oh, y'all thought I was gonna say something else, huh? Nope. I didn't say anything else, okay? Target for me, all right? Or Costco. You can add Costco to this mug. But this is the mug for today, okay? I hope you guys have your mugs and your coffee and your cupcakes ready, because let me tell you, we have a phenomenal guest, an amazing one with Black Girls Who Paint. Sasha Lorraine, who is the CEO and founder of Black Girls Who Paint. Let me tell you something. If you guys, she has a huge following. So it's very, very, I'm sure you guys are following her. But if you're not, get up out of that ground you're in. Because, honey, everybody knows about Black Girls Who Paint. So today, if you don't know, and if you needed a little bit more information, we're going to talk to her. Sasha Lorraine, come on in.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Hi. How are you today?
I am great. It's a little cloudy outside, but we've had a whole week of sunshine, so I'm counting my blessings as I go.
Yes. Well, let me tell you something. I have been waiting for this day, okay? We have, just to give everybody a little bit of background, I had an art show, my first art show with Cupcakes and Coffee in Chattanooga. And I was reaching out to different, avenues as far as just getting the word out and, just getting some information and things of that such. And I found Black Girls Who Paint. And when I went through her page, I said, wait a minute. Now, this is bigger than just, me trying to promote an art show. Like, I want to follow this movement here, because, I started looking through everything and finding out what this was all about. I don't want to give everything away, but finding out what everything was all about. And I was like, oh my God. So initially, I went through the processes of everything, and then she was able to promote my show for that particular time in Chattanooga. And we were I mean, she was so professional, just so sweet, so loving. Never met her before in my life. And I was like, I gotta keep her around all the time. So here we are today. And I was like, okay, she features people all the time. But guess what? I need you to be featured, and I need people to know about what you're doing. Okay? So here we are today. Okay? I just want to tell everybody the backstory so they knew all about it. Okay? How wonderful you are, girl. You. Okay? You.
Thank you.
So, Sasha Lorraine, just give us tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's just kind of start from there.
Okay, so yeah, so my name is Sasha Lorraine. I'm the founder of Black Girls Who Paint. I'm also an artist based in Maryland, close to like the DC area, so the DMV, if you're familiar. I started Black Girls Who Paint in September 2017 as pretty much like a direct response to not seeing myself the further I got into my own art journey. And if you're familiar with the DMV area, it's, very diverse. I grew up here in PG County, Maryland, and I was never like a minority in the sense in the neighborhood I grew up in, and DC was known as like Chocolate City and whatnot. So I would see a lot of Black women in business and the medical field and law and everything like that. But like in art, I was like, how am I in a Black area and I still don't even see myself represented in the arts of DC? So one day I just decided, you know what, I'm not gonna keep letting myself be down and like rejection emails, because I did, there was this one exhibition that I wanted to be a part of. It was about women empowerment. And at that time, all of my artwork was about like femininity. And when I actually saw the roster, it was only one Black woman there out of about 30. And I was like, okay, something is up, because there's no way when I go into these galleries outside of Black History Month or outside of a Black owned gallery, there's no representation. Or I won't say no representation. I'll say there's little representation of women of color and of Black women specifically. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to create like my own table and bring whoever I wanted to invite to my table. And I took it a step further, because I was like, also growing up, I never really saw like Black women artists with sustainable art careers or art practices. And so I was like, you know what, if I would have seen myself as a young girl, if I would have seen like Black women painters out there, would I have done art, or not done art, pursued an art career much sooner than, basically having a mental breakdown and quitting my career. So that's why I was like, you know what, I'm going to just create an ecosystem of Black women artists. I'm going to showcase our art. I'm also going to showcase our diversity in art, because we don't just paint one or two different types of arts. We paint all of like a plethora of art, whether it's realism, portraits, abstract, landscape. So that was one thing that I really wanted to do, was showcase us first and foremost, but also showcase our diversity. And it was literally just an idea. I did it on Beyonce's birthday, aka Labor Day in 2017. Yeah, exactly. I see. But so yeah, it was one of those days. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it, and it grew like wildfire. Like it. I didn't know that I wasn't the only one, because I thought I was the only one. Because I won't say like back then, because back then is pretty relative. But growing up, it was more like weird to be an artist. It wasn't like as accepted as it is now. So now I'm just like, I'm just doing it. It grew super fast. And even through Black Girls Who Paint, I've met a lot of like my friends through that group. I've met a lot of like even business owners. Like the people I talk to now is like a mixture of like my childhood friends and then all the artists that I've grown up. And so I've cultivated that ecosystem of of painters, of artists, because I never really had that. Most of, even like starting my career, I started off in economics, and I got my master's in public administration, and that was also for
That's
job
two different
security.
worlds.
It's two different worlds. And if you would have like met me back when I was like 21, 22, I was always an eccentric artist. So I don't know who told me that I was going to do well in corporate America, sitting at a desk for 9 hours. So yeah, I was working in the government, and I was just like, I can't do this. I had a career job, and it had upwards mobility, but I was just like, I can't do it. I'm not happy. This is not where I should be. You know, they told you to go to school and you're going to get a good job, you're going to get that money. And that's just not what really happens. And I was like, I can't be complacent, 50 years from now when they expect you to actually retire. I can't just be here forever. I can't be one of those people. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I just knew it wasn't in the books for me. So I quit one day, and I was like, I'm going to just pursue Black Girls Who Paint. I'm going to pursue my art practice. And that's how I'm here. That's where we are today. So
that's amazing. And I read your bio. Your bio is just, oh my God, and just going back to what you said as far as, okay, I know that I am not this corporate America girl that's going to be here and end up with a pension when I'm 65 years old, because it's too much on the inside of me. But, with things as far as with, stability and how it's hard for us, creatives, as well as people who want to step out into their own business, it's really hard to just go, because you're like, okay, I have this going, I have this family, I have this type of stability. What pushed you? Was there something that inspired, or just something on the end? What pushed you out to say, you know what, I can do this and I'm going to get it done?
I think it was a series of events. It was definitely a series of events. I worked, so I'm just like, how do I condense this story? So
we got
when I was working with the government, or at the government, I worked in the education field, like the policy side of it. And I remember they gave me my retirement date of 2053, and I was like, absolutely not. This is not happening. And I had a series of bad jobs. And if anyone who knows me knows that my life isn't like a normal book that you read. Like, I don't just like trip and fall. Like, I trip, fall, then my hair catches on fire, something wild. So I have a lot of wild stories of bad jobs. And so after realizing that, because I would complain about my jobs and people would think that, oh, it was because of me. And of course, there's always I feel like if you're not in the right place, there's always going to be some kind of tension. But it just got to a point where it was job after job, and I was just seeing craziness everywhere. And at that time, my mental health started to be affected by my job. This was also when that man became president too. I had just started there, and then when there's a new president, the policies change, so it goes under whatever they want. Eventually, not as soon as they get elected, but around like that January-ish to March, things start to shift, and I realized the reason why I was working there, it wasn't being fulfilled. And that all plays into like the bureaucracy of just working in the federal government. But I couldn't do it. Like, my body couldn't do it. And I realized that I started getting depressed. I started getting really anxious. And I stopped caring about my job. Like, that's one thing. When I stopped caring, there was a Whole Foods, and I was just like, I need that box wine on my lunch break. So when I started doing things that were kind of detrimental to success, that's when I was like, you know what, I just have to take a step back. So I called up my mom, and I was like, hey, look, my lease is over in January. Can you just let me? I'm going to quit my job with or without you. So, like, don't think that. My parents always enforce education. Like that was their thing, was like, we came to this country, you're gonna have to do this education because you saw us have to rebuild ourselves. And so, you know, college and a graduate degree or grad school was never not an option. And so when my lease was up, I asked if I could move back home. I'm gonna figure it out, but like, know that I'm leaving this job and there's nothing you can do to talk me out of it. But if you could accept me in the basement, me and my dog, I would greatly appreciate it. I won't be here for more than like 2 years. And my mom was like, sure, we can do. And so I was so thankful. So that was the end of January 2017. I started Black Girls Who Paint September 2017. My lease was over January like 24th, 2018. So I moved back home with my parents. And by that March, I put in my 2 weeks. Like I literally could not do it. And it just, I felt it in my gut. I felt it in my throat, like everything in me. I was like, I cannot keep doing this. Then my commute went from 30 minutes to an hour and a half. And I was like, no, ma'am. Yeah, I just literally, it was when, I think it was like my parents' anniversary trip or something. They scheduled it during the time that I was going to quit, not vice versa. I was always going to quit that week. It just so happened that they were out of town. And I put my 2 weeks in, and I was like, hey, I WhatsApped them. I was like, hey, y'all. So I just put my 2 weeks in. Sorry. And yeah, that was the push. And I would say if you're able to leave your job, do so, but don't feel like you have to do it, because I also don't have kids. I only have a dog, and she's pretty much a cat. She don't do anything but eat and sleep. So I was able to start over and really center myself and figure out what I wanted to do. And I know not a lot of people have that opportunity or that privilege, for real, to do so. So when you are able to do so, definitely, whether it means quitting your job or taking less hours, or even just setting boundaries with your job and say, I'm no longer going to stay late, or I'm no longer going to be stressed over the work, or you cannot send me things a day before the deadline and expect things to happen or take priority. So just little baby steps to get you on that path.
Oh, and we just had a Facebook user that just came in and said inspiring. So indeed. And one thing that I recognize when you just said is that you felt it in your heart, you felt it in your gut, you felt it in your neck. It was just, it's like, I felt this and I knew. And so many of us have that feeling. And instead of getting the green light and going, you just fall back into place of, oh, I don't know what should have. And honestly, I was that girl, to be honest. I was like, okay, no, I have to do this. I have all these cheering, honey. I got a lot of cheering. Okay. I have to do this. I have plans at college. I got all these different things. I have to make sure that I'm do A, B, C, D. But I've never been an A, B, C, D girl. I've been A, I'll go to R. I'll come back to C. I'll go to D. You know what I mean? And we kind of talked about this too, you know, as far as colorful and our emotions and things of that stuff as we are as individuals. So it's hard to be able to accept that and then have to just kind of do this to your gift. You know, you're holding it and you're like, oh my God, you know, I want it. So just as we're on this trail of inspiring so many people now, tell us what the vision was, how we launched Black Girls Who Paint.
So I will say that Black Girls Who Paint started very organically. There wasn't a vision until maybe about a year or so in. But the goal was to showcase us and showcase our art. When I quit my job that March so I think I quit maybe like 6 or 7 months after I created the Instagram page. So it started from an Instagram page, then it progressed into a website, then a membership, and then like all the cool stuff we do now. But for me, it's always been about alignment and organic, just being organic. So not forcing anything, but just letting it flow, because when I started, I was about to be 27. So I was like 26 turning 27, and I was also a different stage in my life. I'm about to be 30, and yes, I'm still young, but like I feel like I've just that girl in 2017 is so much different, and it with the incorporation of a vision, it was also an incorporation of a vision in myself as well, if that makes sense. Because I was purpose, because I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I had an urge, and where I'll bring it back to like having bad jobs. Like when I actually sat down and realized that, you know, sometimes God, the universe, or whatever, God will literally force you out. Because like I will always say that I wanted to be comfortable. I wanted to sit on that government cheese, you know, have my sick leave, my annual leave, let it accrue, get my yearly increase. That was the life that I wanted, because that was a life that was presented to me as safe, and I was always going to do my art as a hobby. I never intended it to make it my career, but it was that I was just forced, and like I got so uncomfortable that I just finally gave in. And I think that's how vision and purpose all starts. I feel like we were all born with a purpose. We weren't born to be boring or static. We were all these very, I think we're all eccentric at our core, but you know, society tells us, no, you got to chill out. You got to relax. So when you actually lean into that, and when you take a step back and look about how every step has landed you into a poor mental health state, because that's pretty much what it was. I was depressed at my job. Like, I'll be real. It got to a point where I had to take shots every morning to just like fake happy and like go to work. Every time I went to work, I was some kind of intoxicated, because I was just that much into my depression and into trying to be somebody that I wasn't. So when you feel that it's so uncomfortable to not have a purpose, or just to be a worker bee, or not even to be a worker bee, because it's a means to an end. At the end of the day, I still got to pay bills. You know, I still got to pay health insurance. So get however you can get it in a sense, but don't try to be somebody you're not, because it will take an effect on your mental health, and then your mental health will cause you to act out, and then you'll be out here looking crazy. So I don't know. I just think we all have to pay more attention to what the world is and how we're moving in the world. And when things don't feel like it's in alignment, we have to make decisions to figure out how to get back to being ourselves.
Yes. Oh, girl. Yes. Tell it. Okay, so now let's get to some meat and potatoes here. What is Black Girls Who Paint? What is it?
So I'm about to get my elevator speech on, but so yeah, Black Girls Who Paint is a safe space created for Black women artists to share our art as well as our story. And it's also a space so that young Black girls can see themselves in the future and know that they can pursue art, and that it doesn't just have to be a hobby or anything like that. I wanted it to be a community to see sustainability, to see success, to see that there are so many different ways to be an artist and to pursue art as a career and a studio practice. And so, and as a byproduct is an ecosystem as well. So we're one big organism, and we're just trying to figure it out, because a lot of us, or at least a lot of my members or a lot of our community, are self-taught. We didn't necessarily get the opportunity to go to a liberal arts school, as opposed to something that has job security. And I'm an example of, I literally had a federal career, and there is no such thing as job security. Like, these jobs, whether it's a change in presidency term or whatever, when they don't need you or can't afford you, they will let you go, and they will not give you 2 weeks in advance. If you have a nice boss, or if you have somebody that truly cares for you, they might give you a heads up, but you are replaceable. And so if you are replaceable, use that as leverage. Actually, I'm about to go on the tangent. I'm about to get right back on my pedestal or my pulpit. But so that's basically
fine, girl. Let them use you.
But yeah, it's just an ecosystem. We're trying to get more, my goal is to have more Black women artists in spaces and places that they dreamed about as a child, but never thought that they could as an adult. So it's sharing resources. It's also partnering with different organizations. And, recently I became more vocal about, social injustice. For me, Black Girls Who Paint has always been my form of social protest. Me living my best Black, I was about to curse, my best Black life. And all about Black girl magic. And I feel like that is one of the biggest ways to protest, is to literally be yourself. But recently I started to take more of a stance of speaking out against injustice, which is, social injustice, police brutality, even like the inherent racism and systematic racism in the arts industry, and how, over 80% of all of the artwork in prominent US galleries, art organizations are of white men. And it's like, it's not even just, men, it's white men in particular. So that literally leaves 14% of women. And of that 14%, only 4% are Black women. And so just increasing, just pushing that shift and, being somewhat of a pioneer or, a trailblazer, and just standing up and saying, hey, this is wrong. And if nobody else is going to do it, I'm going to say it because I don't care, because I'm crazy too. But in hopes of other people seeing gaps, and they also stand up and say, hey, this is wrong. And this is wrong because X, Y, Z. And this is what we want. And making your demands and then getting it ultimately. Because when people see themselves, they believe in themselves, and also inspire other people to do the same. So I'm just trying to start that trend so it can spark a seed in someone who can also be like, hey, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, and we're all going to do this together. So.
Yes. Well, let me tell you something, okay? You have definitely sparked quite a bit of a trend, okay? You have now over 100,000 followers, okay? And that's, that doesn't include the people outside of that that's following and watching, because you got those little watchers. They be
yes. And some of the crazy watchers, they get blocked, but the good watchers still watch, support from afar, but don't do too much craziness.
Yeah. So you have a huge following, and it's growing even the more. With that, what are your, I know with this quarantine and everything that happened, in this space, it knocked a lot of us off, or it even pushed us a lot of ways. I know for me, it birthed quite a few things through me, and I was able to execute it in the middle of a pandemic. What about you? What did this quarantine do with you?
I mean, first of all, this quarantine beat me up. Uppercut, like to the chin, to the jaw. It literally beat me up. It wore me out. But I will say, as my glass is always half full. So luckily, I would say 2020 has been hard for me in general. I left my part-time job in a way that was not necessarily wanted. You know what I mean? Like, so I started off the year without a job. So I was like, oh, okay. Now I got to really figure things out. And then I did a rebrand with Black Girls Who Paint, and it was supposed to launch, I believe, February 11th or something like that. So like I introduced everything. So I was like, okay, I redid the membership and everything to just put more intention into it. Before, like, my membership was just, I wanted to do so many things because I have like a big heart. So all the ideas, I actually did all of the ideas, but I was just assaulting my members with too much information. So I pulled back and I rebranded, and then COVID hit. And so I was like, wow, not only did I rebrand, because rebrands and relaunches are expensive. So I was using, what little I had left in my savings, because I also was unemployed at this time, and then COVID hit. And for me, it was rough at first, but since I was already working from home and I was used to like minimal interaction, it wasn't that bad. It was more so I could not leave. I couldn't do anything. I physically had to sit still. And in sitting still, I also realized that wow, I have a business named Black Girls Who Paint, but I only highlight Black women. And so there was a like a discrepancy, I guess, in the name in the branding of it, because I was like, how could I say we're Black Girls Who Paint, but we're actually not girls, we're women. And so in sitting in that, I realized that I needed to do more for the younger me, like my inner child, like my little sisters who are still, 9, 10, and still don't see themselves or might not have access to Black Girls Who Paint, because most of our followers and members are between, I would say, their 30s, 40s, and 50s, and then the young adults and then the teens. So that's when I started the awards fund, and basically we give art supplies to school age girls, but also we have a scholarship for our college students who are art students who need like the money, because the struggling artist is real. And then double that with being a struggling, hungry college student. I remember those days. And I just really was like, okay, I had to sit back and I was like, at 10 years old, I was drawing. I wasn't really painting as much, but I was drawing. But I know growing up, we didn't have a lot of money. So I got like art supplies around like my birthday or Christmas, but there were gaps where I didn't have anything. So it was like I had like, sometimes I had paint, sometimes I had markers, but I always had a pen and paper. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do every month, we're going to give away what's it called, e-gift cards to one Black girl who paints every month. And it was based off of our membership, but also off of donations. So that was something that started. I planned it or organized it that April, and I launched it that May, and it's still a thing. So the 11th of every month. Now we've been able to increase it to 2 Black girls who paint, actual Black girls who paint, and we give them $75 worth of art materials at a Blick art store. And then our student award, we have a $750 academic scholarship, and partnering with different art organizations. I know Gamblin has donated $1,000 worth of oil paint supplies. And so with that, I was able to separate it. So every award gets $200 worth of free oil paint. So I'm just like, oh my God, this is exactly because I didn't have the opportunity to go to college for something that I wanted. Like, I remember I called my mom and my dad, and I was like, hey, I'm going to declare my major as studio art. And my daddy called me from overseas, and he was like, absolutely not. You better do law, business, or economics and stop playing these games. So I was an art major for 2 days, and then I had to put back. So yeah, it helped me gain more purpose or realignment, I would say. That was always my goal, but I felt like I was just trying to build the membership as opposed to focus into what Black Girls Who Paint actually is. And it's pretty much the community I wanted as a little girl. And so as that community, we also support our little girls too. So a portion of every membership goes towards this fund, and every month we give away these gift cards. And yeah, I think
I can't, like, I want to run right now, because let me tell you about Dietrich Gary. Okay, what I love is not only doing what your purpose to do, of course, here on earth, right, and seeing that emotion, but adding service. Oh, just knocked me off my feet. Okay, because a lot of people are out here, and they're like, hey, well, I'm doing this, I'm branding myself. I'm going to be wealthy off of this one day, or am now wealthy because of it. But the service isn't always added in, and it tells the type of person you are and what's important to you. When I see that, and I see, versus someone just branding themselves like, hey, I have this book, I have this knowledge, I have this for you, but where's your service? What are you doing to serve in the midst of this? And that, to me, is the best thing ever. Okay, and it means something to me, and I will follow you, honey, to the ends of the earth when I see that, because it presents a whole picture for me. So I just listen. Okay, that's everything. It's everything.
Yeah. It's also ironic because before COVID happened, me and one of my good girlfriends, we will always talk. She also is an artist and has her own art business too. And we would always say like a lot of these like social media businesses, they're really gonna have to you're gonna have to get like a skill or a purpose because there's gonna be a day of reckoning where you can't just rely on social media. You have to actually have a legitimate business that has a vision, a mission, and purpose. And then a couple months later, COVID hit, and then you see everyone either falling or rising to the occasion. And I always wanted to be, because like that's what COVID really did. It helped me sit and figure out what I want my legacy to be. Because I was like, it's not enough to just create an ecosystem of Black women artists. Like that's not a new that is not a new thought in a sense. But I was just like, what do I want to leave? If I were to like drop dead or like, you know, go back to a real job, a corporate America, what do I want to leave with Black Girls Who Paint? And I was like, that's when I realized I was like journaling and everything and like really figuring out, you know, how do I really want to help my younger me? Because if I would have seen like artists actually out here killing it, like Black women artists killing it in the 90s, I would have been like, you know what, you might be, you know, helping me with college, but let me tell you, this econ is going to be studio art. Or I would have done something different, and I would have been able to stand up for myself more and pursue art at 18 and share my art. Because if you knew me in college, you didn't know that I was an artist. You knew that maybe I would do a painting here or there, but you didn't know that I was actually really good at art. And so I was like, you know, I would have pursued art at a younger age, and it wouldn't have taken a mental breakdown for me to actually pursue art in my adulthood. And so that is like really important, is that element of service, that element of like, what are you bringing? How are you leaving the world a better place than when you found it? Because we don't know if we're going to wake up tomorrow. We don't know when our time is up, but I want to at least start or plant a seed that leads to something more bigger in the future. So, because it's a crazy world.
It's a crazy world, girl. Like, whew. Oh my goodness. I am just overjoyed with all of this. I mean, just everything. Tell us what is to come in 2021 for Black Girls Who Paint.
Woo! That is the question, isn't it? Huh? So what I'm doing differently now, because I've always been, you know, live in alignment and be organic and authentic. And as an artist, that is very, very great. But as a business owner, you have to at least plan for something. You have to at least have a schedule, and that aids with like your boundaries and whatnot, because it's really easy as an entrepreneur to work 12 to 12. Like it's really easy every day. And it got to a point where I didn't leave my job to literally work 15 hours a day. And so now I'm actually planning things out. But in 2020, I'm excited. I truly believe that 2021 is still going to be virtual. I do not think COVID is leaving as much as places want to be open. We have seen a spike, and I don't know. Like every time I see people out, I'm just like, y'all do know that we're just gonna be inside. So we are moving more to the virtual space, but in moving into the virtual space, we're still giving tangible products. So it's still because it's ironic, before COVID hit, the theme with Black Girls Who Paint was get off social media and get into your arts community. As in, like, go to these art museums, go to these galleries, talk to the executive director, talk to the curator, and actually start to network, because social media is great, but it's one small aspect of marketing that can't be your sole business. It's just not sustainable in that sense. You need to form real relationships. You need to actually go out and share your art. And then COVID was like, share who art?
Yeah. Got to figure it out.
Yeah, literally, it was like if you don't sit down.
Yeah.
But 2021, we're definitely going to be utilizing the virtual space more in terms of how to improve your studio practice, because a lot of us are self-taught. A lot of artists in general, because I did used to work at a gallery, and it's not just the self-taught artists, the artists that have MFAs and PFAs and stuff like that. They too are, they think they know everything. Artists, we think we know everything. We don't want to be, we want to be malleable in the sense of having, inspiration and motivation, but there are things that we need, as in like workshops. We need to practice things. Like I used to call myself a pop artist, and then I realized the art is not pop. I was like, all I had to do was Google it, and I would have known that I now I look crazy because I've been calling myself a pop artist. And no, I just use bright colors, but that's not pop art. So it's definitely the education side of it, and then having more artist activations, like community engagement and stuff like that in our communities. But the marketing of it will be sharing our stories, because a lot of times I think artists, we hide behind our art. I can only speak for myself personally, but I grew up very, very shy. I was very introverted, and a lot of my art, whether I hide it or whether you don't know the true story of it, but it's literally like my expression disguised into like a pretty picture. And I'm trying to train or encourage artists to step from behind their paintings and stand beside it or even in front of it, which is why I say sharing our art and our stories, because we do have stories that need to be told, and painting a picture or creating art is just step one in sharing our stories. But we have to be able to step into our light and share our stories. So there'll be a lot more storytelling, a lot more community engagement via storytelling, and a lot of more resources, and just encouraging artists to say, hey, we do think that we're the best at any level we are, but know that being an artist is a constant journey of learning. You don't ever reach a point where you're like, oh, I've done enough and this is it. Like, we're constantly learning new things, trying new techniques, learning ourselves, because our art is a representation of ourselves at that current state as well. So just continuing that, like taking a step further. It's not enough to just paint a pretty picture, because anyone can do that, in all honesty. But you want to share your story and paint with purpose. So
my next question was, what was art to you? And honey, you're in the vein. You already went on through everything. You answer that, we're good to go right there, because I got everything from that question. Okay, so it was perfect. It was perfect. Now, I know we're getting ready to end, but I just want you to kind of talk about a little bit about what's in your network, how Black girls, women can be a part of this network, and then tell us some other things as far as how we can follow you and all that good jazz stuff.
Okay, so our network. So Black Girls Who Paint is, an ecosystem of Black women artists. And on our website, we're also a directory. So we showcase our art, but we also showcase it by location, as well as offer services. And so with the membership, because the membership is $111 per year. So breaking that down monthly is less than $10. It's less than a Netflix subscription. And with that, you get entry into the membership into the directory. But also I do like monthly calls where I work with these girls and getting them opportunities. Like, all of my partnerships benefit my members in some capacity. I'm also partnering with different galleries. I have free partners that are art organizations that give in-kind materials such as art supplies, but also help with networking. And they also help with art education, which is really, really cool, because I wish I would have gone to school for art. So like, not even just going to school for art, but knowing that art education doesn't necessarily mean a degree. It could mean a workshop. It could mean an e-course or something like that, or in-person course in the future. But so I work with different companies and different organizations, and getting and getting more Black women artists out there. And that means supporting them through their endeavors, because everyone starts at a certain level. Then as we get older, we progress and whatnot. We have different interests. So it's not even just limited to just, getting your artwork in galleries. Like, not understanding every artist doesn't want to be in a gallery. Some want to be, work at a gallery. They want to do arts administration. They want to do community activism or arts activism. Even having their artwork in franchises, in apparel, or home goods or something like that, or having your artwork in movies. Like that's literally an industry of because every film, every commercial, they need artwork. So it's like keeping it open and just creating that ecosystem, as opposed to just say, hey, I want to see more Black women in galleries. I do, but I also just want to see more Black women artists, period, because we're out here. We just either don't know or we don't have the resources. And I just want to help be that link to more resources. So yeah, that's what we are. We're a membership. It's still growing. Like I said, we rebranded right before COVID. And then during COVID, I was like, the world is on fire. So I need to do more. So we kind of rebranded again just to be more timely. But it's just an ongoing journey, I want to say. So yeah, you can follow us on our website. Check out our artists. We have so many dope artists around the world. It's not even just in the US. We have a couple artists in the UK. We have one in like Bermuda. I know there's another one in Norway. So we have different, I want it to be a global thing, but most of our members are US based. If you're looking for an artist, or if you're looking for an artist to like commission a portrait, or even teach at a class, or even host a sip and paint, a virtual one, like literally you can go to our website, check out our directory, and you can search via service and location. So yeah, and then we're on our most prominent social media platform is Instagram. We're also on Facebook and Twitter, but I will be honest with you, Twitter is a little too wild for me.
Gosh, I was about to say I need help with Twitter. I don't know what to do there.
I don't want help. I don't want it at all. So I am in the process of, I just hired an online manager, and I'm getting an intern soon. So we're expanding the team, because it was just me pretty much, and my mom and one of my close friends doing everything. So we're expanding the team. But yeah, you can catch us at blackgirlswhopaint.com, at Black Girls Who Paint on Instagram, Facebook, and I believe we are BGWP Tweets on Twitter. But don't go there. There's nothing really lasts or survives in Twitter. So, but yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Girl, let me tell you, this has been amazing. I wish we had another hour, because I bet we could get into all kind of hills and valleys, okay, on this day. It has been so wonderful talking to you, Sasha Lorraine. You are an amazing Black woman. You're definitely a trailblazer. And let me tell you something. The things that you're doing for Black girls and Black women will leave an amazing legacy. It will leave back your name forever, and the doors that you have opened up for them, I pray that 20 more are opened up for you, for each and every person that you're doing it for. So I appreciate you. I salute you, my sister. And I
let me try. I worked hard on this eyeliner. Okay, I worked hard in this eyeliner.
Girl, my eyeliner gone. I was like, I'm glad I got these glasses, because I can't put none on right now. But I appreciate you. And we have to say that to each other, especially in these times where people just falling away, It's important for us to give each other our flowers while we're here. So, I wanted to make sure that I said that, and that you heard that from my heart.
Thank you. And likewise, I love what you're doing as well, and keep going. Like, that's all people like, what kind of advice would you give? I don't have no advice other than keep going. Don't quit.
Keep it going. Be consistent. and go.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. And everyone, thank you guys for joining us today. Of course, you can follow the link on DKM Radio or on Facebook as well. And then also, too, we'll definitely be reposting so you can see the show on today. But it was amazing with Black Girls Who Paint. And you guys keep your coffee mugs up and keep eating those cupcakes, honey, in this quarantine. I know that's what y'all doing anyway. So
absolutely. That's what I'm gonna do.
Thank you guys so much for listening, and follow me over to Real Women Atlanta Talk Live. I'm getting ready to get on the next show. Thank you guys. We love you. Bye.